Coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Here is your host, the one and only Flint Rasmussen.
We've missed a week, so welcome back. Another episode of According to Flint right here, however you are watching on Ride Pass, right here on Pluto or social media, whichever path you have selected. Welcome to another show. Been gone a couple weeks. Since we've been gone, I've been to Oklahoma City, made a little pit stop south of Oklahoma City in the famous town of Wayne, Oklahoma, to spend a couple days with my friend Cody Webster and Bull School. I will talk about that later in the show. Came home for a couple days, caught a little cold and flu, and headed to Missouri, spreading the joy. So Missouri, Ridgedale, Missouri, technically, I never went into Ridgedale, Missouri, but there was a sign that said Ridgedale, but Johnny Morris's Nature's Arena up at the big lodge in the hills outside south. We stayed in Branson, Missouri, and this was my debut in Branson, Missouri. And then south of there, about 15 minutes, Johnny Morris with his brand new arena where Garth Brooks is going to play 4 shows this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But it was quite a weekend of riding, and I did discover something about Branson, Missouri. It is nice to go to Branson, Missouri for a guy my age, because while in Branson, I feel young. So it was good to be in Branson, getting healed up, sweated out some of that sickness we had, and that's just part of the job a little. I get asked a lot, a common question I get asked, and my most recent podcast, I was kind of surprised I didn't get asked again, was who fills in for you when you're sick? And part of our job is I know we're probably not supposed to, guidelines and all, but we go to work sick quite a bit. So was feeling better over the weekend, not 100%, but we got through it. It was great. Of course, saw the full team outdoors. And listen, it seems like every year that we have gone to Springfield, Missouri, where we are in the arena on campus there, we always joke that every year, middle of September, when we go to Springfield, Missouri, it rains and rains and rains. We were a couple of weeks later than traditionally we were in Springfield, and it did not rain because I'm not sure what we would have done if it would have rained. But coming up, we're kind of on the home stretch of the PBR Teams series. This weekend off, I will be attending a college rodeo, not working, watching one of my girls compete, one of my girls coach in Dillon, Montana, homecoming at the University of Montana Western. And I don't know if you know this or not, I am a distinguished alum. I'm an alum. I throw the word distinguished in. So headed to Dillon, Montana, get a little breather from the road, from airports, and from working in the arena. But it was a good weekend in Missouri. Congratulations to the Texas Rattlers I'm calling it an upset win. Don't look now, but Cody Lambert looks like he can be a coach, I guess. So there's the weekend results. The Texas Rattlers winning all 3 of their games. They go 3-0. The Carolina Cowboys, who I still like when it comes down to it. I can say this because it's a online show or on social media. When it comes nut cutting time, I'm going Carolina Cowboys. That's just my prediction. I like what Jerome Davis has done. That's a good group of guys. They got Cooper Davis, Dalen Swearingen. I'm telling you they're tough. But watch out, Texas making a run. Oklahoma Freedom, also, they call themselves the Hot Boys. Yeah, don't we all? Then Kansas City, all the way down to the disappointing Nashville Stampede. Justin McBride, I'm so sorry. I feel bad for McBride. He's a winner. Justin McBride is like the best quarterback in college football who gets drafted by the worst team and has to learn to lose. It's driving him crazy. But Texas Rattlers, this guy right here, who are the Texas Rattlers leaning on? Daniel keeping it 90. That could be his nickname. Daniel keeping it 90. This kid, this is his profile picture from the PBR website. The 94 is what his world ranking was last year. Who the hell is Daniel keeping? Well, for one, if he smiled, you'd see he's missing some teeth. But this is a good picture of him. He's cool. His interviews, he just tells it like it is. I like the pressure. I don't know what score I got to be. I'm just here for my team. He's one of those guys that is thriving in this atmosphere. We said guys would rise to the occasion that maybe you didn't expect. Daniel Keeping is one of those guys. Good young guy. He's got his young wife and a baby with him, and he is having a ball. Here are the season standings when we talk about who I like at the end of the year. There's the Carolina Cowboys at 14-8 and Oklahoma at 13-9. Those are your top two. Arizona Ridge Riders are 12-9-1. They have a tie, I guess. And there's the Nashville Stampede at the bottom. So when it comes down to the end of the year, I'm telling you, I like the Carolina Cowboys. The top two teams coming out of the regular season get a bye in the first round, which means on night number 1, Friday night in Las Vegas, those top two teams don't have to ride bulls. They advance on to the next round, however that is set up. So, and one area, you know what? I like the MVP race. I like the guy that's going to get a big chunk of cash at the end of the year for scoring the most points through the year. Look at Jose Vitor Leme and Dalen Swearingen. I believe, if my bad eyes are saying it right, they're about 20 points, 10 points apart. 10 points. Thanks, Logan, for reading that for me. 10 points apart. Luciano De Castro right in there. Speaking of guys that are thriving in this atmosphere, guys that you go, who would have thought he would do well? Look at number 7, Marcus Mast. Who would have ever thought? Hey, by the way, my shout out to Jerome Davis, the coach of the Carolina Cowboys. Dalen Swearingen was not there the first 2 nights in Missouri. He went up to Minot, North Dakota for the big finale to Chad Berger and Adam Libby's King of the North series. Dalen Swearingen with the King of the North victory in the 12-event series, a Capri camper, and $100,000. There's Adam and Chad Berger. The check looked like Adam's son, Charlie, wrote it with a crayon. But, kudos to Jerome and Tiffany Davis for allowing Dalen Swearingen. Silvano Alves went up there as well to give them a chance to make their own money. And Dalen, sure enough, comes home with $100,000. So congratulations to him. Then they caught Richard Childress's jet, flew to Dallas, caught Richard Childress' jet up to Missouri and rode the last day. So good for them. I know, tough life. $100,000 and a ride in a jet. Hey, we're going to talk some live production, talk about the arena there in Missouri, the challenges that it created. But first, a quick word from our friends at Pendleton Whiskey. Welcome back to another episode of According to Flint, coming off a big weekend in Missouri, heading to nowhere. Some guys might be going to a Challenger event here and there, but some of us taking the weekend off. A fine time, the 1st of October, up here in Montana. Some people doing a little archery hunting, some elk hunting. So not me, college rodeo for me. I promised going to talk a little bit about live production, and here's why. Through the team series, I have bounced back and forth a little bit from in-arena entertainment, my quote-unquote usual job, to doing some TV commentating. And it's kind of a week-to-week basis where I'm needed the most or where I fit the most. This past weekend, the arena was big. They thought maybe they could use me a little more in the arena. But there is one thing we've been doing is presenting sort of what we call a hybrid show in the arena for the live audience. Now, on TV, it is just a TV show, but we are taking, hopefully, some of the best of what TV is doing as far as video features, game setups with good graphics, because the big screen's just a little bigger, the sound is just a little better in this team series. So we are hoping to take what's great about the TV broadcast and put it into the live arena. So it is a mix of what we do in the live show with TV. What that has created a little bit, it is challenging in phasing in and out of what we want to present to the live audience. our CEO, Sean Gleason, wanted to give this a try and see how the people responded to it. I will say that one man who has done a great job and has been shouldered with a pretty hard task is Clint Atkins, because he is now the only live arena announcer. So he's floating statistics. The team series, frankly, there's just more to talk about. In the regular season, there are guys that are ranked 53rd in the world, 60th in the world, that move their way up to the tour. That frankly, there's not big stories around them. So that's where we in the live arena can take over and create more of a fun atmosphere to keep the crowd going. In the teams, every ride is important. Every matchup has a storyline. So Clint Atkins has been doing a lot more talking about the action and about what's coming than he usually does. You know, and I think the focus, there is a huge difference between watching it on TV and watching in the live arena. Watching in the live arena, I think there's a different focus than if you were watching on TV. I think of college and professional football games that I've been to. When you're watching on TV, they focus a lot on the head coach on the sideline. So that's the storyline when you're watching on TV. I remember going to the Super Bowl, and it was the Seattle, New England Super Bowl. And at the end of it, I went, you know what? I don't remember ever seeing Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll, the two coaches. I don't remember ever looking at them on the sideline. So it's a difference of what TV focuses in on and what you is focused in on or prefer to focus in on in the live show. Also, I remember when Russell Wilson was in the shotgun, Marshawn Lynch had however many carries to take it down to the 1 yard line. And the crowd was chanting Marshawn Lynch's name, and Russell Wilson was in the shotgun, grabbed him by the shoulder pads and moved him in the formation. And in the crowd, I went, holy crap, they're not going to hand it to him. They're going to pass the ball. To my daughters, I said that out loud. Nobody knows if I did or not. And they threw an interception, and it cost them the Super Bowl, if you remember. Where on TV, the focus might have been a little different. Cowboy Channel, with their coverage of so many rodeos in the summer, has done the opposite. They are taking the live arena to TV. I think it is hard for either to cross to the other. But some people like it. Some people like both. Some people like the live arena to TV because they feel like they're there. Some people like TV into the live arena because they get some more statistics. But it has created challenges, of course, for everyone. In Missouri, it created challenges. We'll just show the one picture, since this is the live arena in Missouri. The arena was in front of that. The crowd then way behind us, as you look at the picture, the crowd was really far away, up on a side hill. There it is. There's the view for the crowd. So that creates issues in our live arena on making a connection. I like a connection with the crowd. So that created some issues. Garth Brooks, by the way, that's his stage. We warmed it up for him. So that's basically what we did. I want to show you a quick clip from my latest podcast where I talk about what live arena can bring to the live audience without talking. It has to do with the World Finals when JB Mooney and Silvano Alves were battling for a world title and what the in-arena live show did to create an atmosphere. Take a look. What happened was Silvano, I think, came in number one. So JB was the second to the last. Here, JB Mooney. Na, 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 na. Yay. Then Silvano was last. So his song had come on and all the Brazilians would stand up. So they had the advantage. As the week went, JB became the number one rider in the world. So he became the last guy. And by the end, credit to our announcers. And I believe it was Brandon Bates, and I think Clint Atkins was around at that time. They didn't say a word. There'd be a pause, and they'd wait. I'm sorry to all rodeo announcers. My brother is one, and all my dear friends. You don't have to talk to create a moment. And it would be Silvano, they'd announce the score, da-da-da, and the announcers would set their microphones down and just stand there. No music, nothing. It was amazing. No music, nothing. Mark Stevenson was the music guy, and he'd wait. And the crowd would start to stand up because they knew what was coming. There was only one guy left. Still get goosebumps. and they'd look and they'd do this, click, da-da-da-da-da-da, and the whole freaking place would go crazy. It was not just a great moment in my life in PBR rodeo, one of the greatest sporting moments I've ever been a part of that whole week. JB Mooney rode everything and ended up being the world champion. It was the use of production and the use of announcers stepping out, music stepping out, and then they'd let that music play. They didn't have to say all that crap that is said. Look at this guy. Everybody knew. They let the silence and the music carry the moment until it was time for them to actually say something. And I wish I had it recorded to show everyone that you just don't need to talk all the time. There you go. That is from my currently released podcast, According to Flint. You can catch it on my social media. We post the links, or I would suggest watching us on YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel also, According to Flint. Anyway, a quick example of what a live arena, without talking, without saying a lot, without talking over anything, can really do. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to talk some bull school, whatever else comes to mind. We're going to call it a show here, right here on According to Flint. Quick break. Back after this.
As rural Americans, we have a unique understanding of and connection to the land. Whether we ranch, farm, log, or simply recreate, what we do today determines our tomorrow. As stewards of the land, it's our duty to ensure that our children and grandchildren can enjoy the outdoors in a similar manner that was afforded us. Join the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and ensure the future of elk, other wildlife, their habitat, and our hunting heritage. Visit rmef.org today.
Thanks, as always, to our friends at Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. They are great supporters of all things According to Flint, and it is, as I've said, starting to smell elk hunting in the air. I believe I have the weekend opening season of rifle season off this fall. Might have to get out an orange vest and some boots and drive around and look for animals. Can I say that? Yeah. My dad's 84. We're not going to hike, you know. So, of course, thanks to them. I mentioned that I spent a little time down in Oklahoma before I went to Ridgedale, Missouri. After the Oklahoma City PBR, I stayed a couple extra days and went to my friend Cody Webster's place. And Cody Webster, we get asked a lot about schools. And there have been different guys throughout time that put on bullfighting schools, and they all have different styles. Cody Webster simply calls his bull school. He doesn't take 15, 20 kids. There's 5 guys, 5, 6 guys there, from older to 11 years old. And I hear people all the time talk about, oh yeah, I ride bulls or I fight bulls. But did you go to a school? Did you learn to do it the right way? I see young guys in Montana. They've been entering bull ridings and rodeos for years. But did you ever really want to do it right? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it for the life? Are you doing it for the travel? Are you doing it to say, I used to ride bulls? Because bull riding is one of those sports that if you don't do it the right way, frankly, you could die. And you could be injured very bad, as well as bullfighting. So I always say, go to a school somewhere. What did you go to a school? Did you go to a bull riding school? I can tell you after spending 2 days at Cody Webster's, if you want to learn real basics, real fundamentals, the foundation for both cowboy protection and freestyle bullfighting, the movement of animals, reading animals, what you do, the basic fundamentals. Cody Webster's bull school was amazing. For example, this picture, that is running the dummy, that they have decided a bullhead on handlebars with one tire simulates the movements and what you need to do to deal with a bull better than anything else they could find. And let me tell you, those guys were worked into the ground. Both guys, both the guy running the bull and the bullfighter. Like I said, that's Nathan Harp, who is a great bullfighter running the bull. So the experts know how a bull will move, and it's up to those guys. They learn the basics before they put them in front of live animals. And that's the key. So the other thing is Cody Webster provides his own livestock. He's got these mean fighting bulls. He uses a lot of cows because, yeah, they'll hook you, but they're not going to beat you down. So also he had some little dudes there, some little guys learning to be bullfighters, and he matched them up with calves so they're not so intimidated. Anyway, go to a school. And if you're a bullfighter, I'm going to recommend Cody Webster's Bull School. And watch for that. By the way, I was filming an episode for a new show called Flint Unedited, which will appear on Wild Rides Television coming out after the first of the year. It's a subscription, on-demand only network of all Western lifestyle stuff. So we'll keep you updated on that. Anyway, it was a good 2 days of filming. Got some great stuff. I want to share a story with you. This is my small world moment. Oh my God, I can't believe what this job has done for me. Moment of the week. That was a long title. We won't put a screenshot of that up. Anyway, I just find it interesting getting to do this job, how I run into people who have been somewhere. I live in a big apartment complex in Billings. There, I revealed that to you. And I live on a corner, and I was sitting on my patio, and there's a young couple that had been walking by my place 4 or 5 times, and they were fairly new. And they have a dog named Odie and a wife and a husband, and they're young. I could tell they were a very young couple. So finally, the husband came by, and I stopped and talked to him. He had a mascot on his shirt, and that's, of course, started conversation with me. And I said, "What's your name?" He said, "My name's Ryan." He said, "Ryan." I said, "Ryan?" "Yeah, Ryan." Well, this young man is a new lawyer, and his first job is at a law firm in Billings, Montana, and he is from Kentucky. And his wife, also from that part of the country, is a school teacher at Lockwood, which is just part of Billings. They love it here. They're young, and we visited for a few minutes, and he said, "What's your name?" And I said, well, he didn't ask my name. He said, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I tour with an organization called the PBR, the Professional Bull Riders." And he said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm the guy in the arena that entertains the crowd." And he looked at me, he said, "Are you Flint?" And I said, "Yeah, keep in mind, this guy's he's from Kentucky, had gone to law school in Virginia." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "My wife caught one of those little yellow Wrangler stress balls that you shot out of the gun at the PBR in Greensboro." Here I am on the corner of an apartment complex in Billings, Montana, and a couple had moved in just down the way. They walked their dog by, and the lady had caught one of the little Wrangler stress balls out of the gun, not at the Billings PBR, in Greensboro, North Carolina. To me, that's just crazy. Anyway, it's one of those moments where you realize what the job does for you, what the travel does for you. And he was thrilled that he made a connection and that I lived by him and they had been to the PBR in Greensboro, North Carolina. I don't know. That is my small world moment of the week. Thanks for joining me this week. I hope you learned a little something or were entertained by what we had to offer. Thanks, Pendleton Whiskey, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and everybody behind According to Flint. We'll see you next time.